Hi, everyone. I'm Bruno Aziza, the head of data and analytics at Google, and I'm excited to share with you over the next 20 minutes or so insights that I've gathered over the last 30 years working in this space. And what I'm particularly passionate about is the role of data and the role that data has with your success in your career and the acceleration of your company's transformation. So today we're going to talk about the connection between your approach to data warehousing and how it connects with an exceptional business intelligence and analytics experience. We're here because we know that BI success can be directly linked to the acquisition of an exceptional modern data warehouse. And so we're going to talk about at least three topics today. One, I'll take you through examples of organizations who have succeeded in this journey. I'll point you to examples of companies like Verizon, the New York Times, the Golden State Warriors, and Carrefour. We'll also cover the key components you have to take into account in order to succeed across technology, business, and of course, capabilities. I will leave you with a checklist that hopefully you'll find useful and you can apply to your choices as you look for this exceptional experience, BI and data warehousing, so you can empower all your people. It could be your employees, your customers, and your partners. But first, let me start with the story of Nikhil Mishra. Nikhil is the Senior Director of Engineering at Verizon Media. And when Nikhil got started on his journey to the cloud, he did what many of us do. We check the benchmarks, we evaluate the various technologies across pilots, of course. But what he found out, as you'll read in this blog, is that choosing a data platform is more complicated than just testing it against standard benchmarks. Of course, these benchmarks are useful to get started, but there's nothing like testing your data platform against real-world scenarios. So in this blog that I'm pointing you to, you'll be able to read about the discipline that Nikhil and his team have applied to compare Google with alternative clouds, where each platform performed best, and why his team ended up choosing BigQuery and Looker. Now, this discipline and the discipline of the many other customers that we work with has what has guided today's presentation, and I'm excited to share with you their insights for the first time ever. Now, today, we're not going to have time to cover all our customers' examples, of course. We're just going to cover a few stories, but if you want to hear more stories like today's stories, you want to make sure that you subscribe to our Data Journey program. This is a weekly series where I interview for you leaders in the industry who have experienced incredible success with their digital transformation. The URL is pretty straightforward. It's g.co/Google/data journeys, as you can see here. And I hope to see you there. All right, so we talked about three areas that need to be part of your evaluation process, and those are capabilities, business, and technology. Let's start to talk about capabilities first. In this section, we're going to talk about what customers like to call the alls. What do I mean by that? Well, at the end of last year, Forrester predicted that 20% of Fortune 500 companies will not survive in their current form by the end of 2021. That's this year. They said that the ones that will survive will know to transform well digitally, physically, and emotionally. So the point here is that we never want to waste the opportunity of a good modernization. And modernization means a lot more than just lifting and shifting your capabilities that you're doing today on-prem and putting them into the cloud. It means that you have the opportunity to think broader that you might be doing right now. We work with many organizations that go through this exercise, and what they find is that the process of modernization gives them the opportunity to think bigger and to think wider. So they consider all data types, all analytics, all speeds, all locations, and availability all the time for all users. Now, I start with all users intentionally here because, the platforms that we're building here, they're used by people. And innovation occurs when your systems connect with all your people. The industry has learned this lesson the hard way in the last 30 years. I think if you look at the latest research, according to Dimensional Data, 90% of employees say that their work is slowed by unreliable data sources, and 86% of analysts today struggle with data that's out of date. So when it comes to satisfying the needs of your users, nobody wants to waste the opportunity to do that well, and you have in front of you an amazing opportunity to change the picture here. So to get you started, what I'd suggest you do is categorize the population of your users across your organization, not just the titles, but look at their objectives, look at their jobs, look at their teams, look at the circumstances. Don't be restricted by the standard titles. And of course, this slide is directional guidance, but my suggestion, taking it from the best and best in the industry, is to start with the user, interview them, build empathy so you can build systems around them. You now have software that offers you the flexibility to do that. So, start with the users and build around them. Now, you note here in this slide, we also listed machine use as a user population. Now, this is an important consideration as you move in your journey because embedded machine learning is a strong accelerator of innovation. And embedded is the key word here. We know that the use of machine learning is not widespread in the industry yet. According to a recent IDC survey, only 21% of companies said that they have deployed AI across their business. And I often joke that for AI to be effective, it needs to stand more than just artificial intelligence. AI should really stand for applied and invisible. You truly benefit from embedded AI in your processes when it's applied and when your users benefit from it because it's just part of the rest of the platform, when it's invisible to them. You might have heard of BigQuery machine learning, or BQML as we call it here. BQML is BigQuery machine learning capability. It comes with BigQuery, so you don't have to worry about integration issues to get started. It lets anyone build and operationalize machine learning models using simple SQL right within BigQuery. And this means no data movement, no new infrastructure, and it's interoperable with cloud AI for advanced use cases. This approach has really allowed us to advance our goal to democratize machine learning. In fact, over 80% of our top 100 BigQuery customers use BQML today. In your choice for the modern data warehouse, I encourage you to be wary of solutions where machine learning is bolted on. You really want to choose machine learning that's built in to give your people in your organization the opportunity to out-innovate the rest of the market. Now, if you're in the data business, you know about the importance of data timeliness. Of course, we care about historical data because we want to know what's happened in the past. We care about batch data because that's what's needed to respond to business events just in time. But we also now increasingly care about real time because real time is needed to respond with intelligence to events as they occur. And real time is no longer an option. It's a key requirement for a modern data warehousing solution and the rich data experiences you're building around your data. In fact, according to Gartner, 75% of enterprises will shift from piloting to operationalizing AI, and this will drive a 5x increase in streaming data and analytics infrastructure by 2024. So real-time is a foundational capability of the modern data warehouse. It's important today, and as you can see, it's more than doubly important tomorrow. That is why with BigQuery, you benefit from an enterprise data warehousing solution that provides both batch and streaming mode for your data, a unique capability of data warehousing in this market. We're not going to go through the technical details of this slide, so don't worry, but I wanted to at least have it as a leave behind for you so you can share it with your technical team as you evaluate the right solution for your business. So at this point, we've talked about all users, all data speeds. What about all the data? If you're running a data team, you know about the value of your operational data and your transactional data, and you know the value of semi-structured data. You know that the intelligence that you can get from structured and semi-structured data together is superior to the intelligence you could gain from either of these systems by themselves. So think a scenario of customer data from call center transcripts, likely text, purchase transactions, likely structured information, clickstream information, likely semi-structured. You want to be able to work with all that data in one place. So an important consideration of your choice for the modern data warehouse is picking a platform that allows you to support all of them. But perhaps as important as the simplicity and easiness of using this data is the ability to move from one data type to the next. Take, for instance, the built-in integration that we have between BigQuery, our enterprise data warehousing solution, and Spanner, our distributed relational data service. Spanner is designed to support global online transaction processing deployments. It's highly available, provides features like global transactions, strongly consistent reads, automatic multi-site replication and failover. And when you use BigQuery, you're really only 2 clicks to Spanner. Just like you were 2 clicks away from machine learning a little earlier, you can now easily access Cloud Spanner data directly from BigQuery for analysis. So as you can see, we've spent a lot of time thinking about how can we make it easier for you to work with your data, simpler for your people and your teams to innovate. Now, regardless if you choose BigQuery or not, I think it's important to think about these scenarios ahead of making the decision. Can your data warehousing product support easily access to transactional operational data? It might not be critical on day one, but I guarantee you it will become critical very quickly for your company. This section would not be complete enough if I didn't talk about the importance of global consistency and availability. Now, regardless if you're a brick and mortar business or if your business was disrupted by the recent pandemic, you know that the opportunity with data is a global one. So it's important that you bet on a data warehousing solution that offers global expansion and provides building governance globally. And finally, we know that the business of data is no longer a luxury. It's increasingly becoming a business critical capability. So it needs to be available all the time or close to all the time. And anything less than 5 nines is simply becoming unacceptable. All right, so at this point, we've talked about all the alls: your users, your data, your speed, your location, your type of analysis, available all the time. Let's now put our attention to our next section, the technology disruptions happening in our space that you need to consider when choosing the right data warehousing for exceptional BI experience. Lots is going on in our space, of course, but there's at least one trend I'm sure you've heard about. It's the move to the cloud. According to Gartner, 75% of all databases will be deployed or migrated to a cloud platform by 2022. Now, of course, there are many ways to think about the cloud. You can choose to lift and shift your on-prem databases and host it in a cloud that a vendor manages for you or that you manage yourself. The most transformative ways, however, to have your database in the cloud is to pick a solution that is designed to run in the cloud natively. What do I mean by cloud first here? Well, I mean separation of storage and processing. I mean you being able to take advantage of auto-scaling capabilities. And it also means low need for configuration. In other words, it frees up time for your team to work with data rather than work for the data. Now, this cloud nativity concept is an important one when all your data is in one cloud, but it's all the more important when the data you need to work with is spread across multiple clouds. According to the 2021 State of the Cloud report by Flexera, 92% of businesses in 2021 report having a multi-cloud strategy. So companies run in a multi-cloud world today, and they're going to run in the multi-cloud world tomorrow. And this makes a lot of sense because your current company might be the result of combined entities, either acquired or empowered to choose their own clouds, and they have data across multiple clouds. You might partner with companies whose data is in other clouds than your company or your team has chosen, or simply you've decided to engineer a multi-cloud environment because of industry regulations. Despite the fact that your data is distributed, your access to it shouldn't feel like it is. So when choosing a data warehousing solution, exceptional means multi-cloud ready. Now, this means that it runs exactly the same on different cloud providers. It means you can run queries across different cloud providers from the same interface. It does not mean separate control planes for different cloud providers. Really think about a single control plane across multiple providers. When you start thinking about your data warehousing at the epicenter of your data ecosystem, just like I described, new opportunities now are going to present themselves to you. Data sharing is a great example. And here's the good news. According to Gartner, organizations that promote data sharing will outperform their peers on most business value metrics by 2023. However, here's the bad news. So 2022, less than 5% of data sharing programs will correctly identify trusted data and locate trusted data sources. Now, why is that happening? Well, if you look at data sharing the way it's existed, and data sharing has been in existence for many years. I think it was invented in the 1990s, but it's been really difficult and fairly incomplete. There are lots of problems with data sharing the old way. Data sharing the old way requires that you batch pipeline that move data from one database, store it into a file, and transmit it yet into another database. Data sharing the old way is labor intensive. It's wastefully costly, and it can bypass critical data governance processes. So data sharing the old way, in a way, it's like giving someone a gift card. It's giving you data. It's a great thought, but there's a lot that you have to do before you can actually consume the value of that data, that asset. What we have learned from the thousands of organizations that are sharing petabytes of data on our platform is that the way to think about data sharing is a little different. They think about it way broader than that. They think about analytics sharing. And they look for systems that allow their company to publish, discover, subscribe to shared assets. And assets here could be data, but the combination of multiple data sets and analytics. They look for a system that allows them to create and curate internal and external exchanges so they can combine Google data sets, commercial industry, and public data sets. And they look for a system that lets them view aggregated metrics so they can understand how popular these exchanges are. So when it comes to data sharing, I suggest you think about your current approach and where you want to take it to so you can change the game. Now, to change the game, there's no better player to look at than the success of the Golden State Warriors. This exceptional basketball team won my customer award of the week just a few months ago because of the work that they've done with data. Their team used to spend 70% of its time collecting and shaping the data. Now they have a real-time data pipeline for faster analytics on high volume across multiple clouds. I invite you to read their blog. It's informative and also found it very entertaining. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it was a slam dunk for Steve Kerr and his team of data warriors. All right, so we've talked about capabilities and technologies. What's left? 2 important criteria to remember and 2 fun stories hopefully you'll like as I wrap up this session. Cost is an important component in your selection process. Of course, we all know that. And if you remember the Verizon customer story we started the session with, we talked about 3 parameters. We talked about scale, performance, and cost. And you'll find this perspective is true across many of the customers who have chosen to work with our platform. Looker is an incredible platform companies use to build data-rich experiences that users actually want to spend time with and engage with. And BigQuery has the infinite ability to bring in data and let you work with it at incredible speed and incredible scale. So why is it that companies like Carrefour, the 8th largest retailer in the world by revenue, can say that TCO, total cost of ownership, was actually lower than before, despite the fact that they ingest 2 terabytes of data per day into their 700 terabyte of data warehouse, that they serve 80 applications, execute 100 million API calls every month? It's because these customers benefit from a flexible and controlled spending capabilities provided by their data warehousing vendor. I really recommend that you study up the pricing options your vendors offer and you look at it in a scalable manner, because many of them are going to cheap with small data at the beginning, but as your success grow, you want a platform that follows you with you, that doesn't penalize you because you have more data and you have more users using it. With BigQuery, customers can pay per query and they can pay by flat rate. So this is a committed, predictable price that you can set monthly and yearly. And they can use flex slots. Think about flex slots as a burst capacity you can pay for by the minute, the hour, and the day, and the lowest unit is 60 seconds. But what's even better is that customers can mix and match these modes. So you can see here on this slide the example of a company that uses flat rate for scheduled jobs. Think about BI, standardized ETL jobs. They pay per query for urgent one-time inventory analysis, for instance, and then they use flex slots for predictable, spiky workloads like a Monday morning ETL, financial reporting, and so forth. And as part of your flat rate plan, you can assign reservations to workloads. So you can say, for instance, 1,000 slots are going to be assigned to ETL and 4,000 slots will be assigned to business intelligence. But what's even cooler than that is if these workloads don't behave as assigned and resources become underused, BigQuery will reassign the slots on the fly to make sure that your people get the best price and the best performance. This is another great example of automation that worked for you while your administrators can keep control. You also want to make sure that your platform allows you to monitor your spending easily. And guess what? We have a Looker block for that. Using the Google Cloud Cost Management block, you can visualize billing data with Looker. And as you know, Looker, you can customize your dashboards to understanding the nature and the source of our cost recommendations. These capabilities and many others are some of the reasons for why companies like the New York Times can scale without fear. At the end of last year, the New York Times experienced their most significant traffic ever recorded, 273 million global readers, and 4 straight days of the highest traffic they've ever experienced on election weeks. This sounds scary, and it might be for many, but instead of being scared, look at what Ed, their data leader, says in the blog. I relaxed and ate a pint of ice cream because I was able to more easily manage our data environment, allowing us to set and meet higher expectations for data ingestions, analysis, and insights among partners in the newsroom. This is one of my favorite stories and one of my favorite quotes, and I wish you the same experience as the New York Times. So we've covered a lot today, and I hope you found this session both useful and enjoyable. As promised, I leave you with a checklist that you can now apply to your choices to drive the most exceptional BI experience for all your people, your employees, your customers, and your partners. I want to thank you for the time today. If there's anything I can do to help you in your data journey, please don't hesitate to contact me directly on LinkedIn. Thank you.